Most agents do not lose a listing when the home sits. They lose it the moment they take it overpriced, with no plan for what happens next. That is exactly why so many agents end up trapped in awkward price reduction conversations, frustrated sellers, stale listings, and homes that die on the market. But here's the truth. The best listing agents do not ask for price reductions later on. They set them up before the home even goes live. And in this video, I'm gonna show you the exact framework I use: 21 days on the market or 12 qualified showings, whichever comes first. And if the home hasn't sold by then the market is speaking to us. Your job is to listen. I've been in residential real estate since 2002. I'm still an active agent working 95% of my business with sellers. I'm in these conversations every single week. One of the biggest differences between agents who control listings and the agents who get controlled by their listings is this: they do not treat a price reduction like a surprise. They treat it like it's part of the strategy from the beginning. And today, I'm gonna break down exactly how to set that up, what to say, and how to know when the market is giving you the signal, how much to reduce, and how to handle seller pushback without losing your authority. Let's get into it. The biggest mistake when agents make with price reduction is they wait too long. They treat the reduction conversation like it starts after the listing disappoints. That's way too late, because once the seller is emotional, frustrated, and defensive and starting to question the whole process, you've already lost. Now you're reacting. You're not leading. Now every recommendation feels like bad news. This is why I recommend you set the expectation at the beginning of the listing appointment. Also, not as a side note, not casually, not buried somewhere in the conversation. I make it part of my strategy. I actually did a video recently, like 65% of my entire listing presentation is talking about price. It's intentional. I'll say something like this: our job is not to pick a number and just cross our fingers and hope. Our job is to watch how the market responds. So here's the framework I use. If we hit 21 days on the market or 12 qualified showings, whichever comes first, and the property has not sold, then the market is speaking to us. It's giving us feedback. And at that point, we need to listen to the market, not our emotions. That changes the relationship immediately, because now the seller knows three things. One, there's a plan. Number two, there's a benchmark. And number three, there is a decision point, not based on feelings, not based on evidence. That is the first tactical lesson here. Do not spring price reductions on sellers. Pre-negotiate the conditions under which they become necessary. I'm gonna say that again. Do not spring price reductions on sellers. Pre-negotiate the conditions under which they become necessary. That one shift alone in your business will change your listing side. And by the way, I'm in the process of building a private community for residential real estate agents just like you, who want to scale without burning out. If you want more time, better systems, more predictable business, and really to understand the listing side, well, I'll drop a link below. Be sure to check it out. No pressure, just something I'm building for agents like you who want to work smarter, not longer. All right, back at it. Now let me get into more of the tactical stuff. Here's the sequence I want you to start using in your listing appointment. Number one, set the framework pricing. Do not frame pricing like you're trying to win a debate at the kitchen table. Frame it like this: we're not trying to win the pricing conversation in this room. We're trying to win the marketplace. That line matters because a seller can win the argument with you and still lose in the market. And that happens every day. Step number two, introduce the only 3 reasons why homes do not sell. I say this very clearly, and it goes like this. There are really only 3 reasons a property doesn't sell: condition, location, and price. Then I walk them through those 3. See, you can't really change the location. It's not like you're gonna pick the property up and move it to a more desirable area or on the water. And in many cases, the condition is already the best it's realistically going to be. Yes, sometimes you can improve the presentation, declutter, paint, stage, clean it up, of course, handle the obvious stuff. But in most markets, it doesn't make financial sense to pour serious money into properly hoping you might get that money back. So when you strip it all down, the only lever at your control as a seller is price. That makes the later reduction price conversation feel logical and not personal. Step number 3, set the checkpoint. Then I give them the 21 or 12 framework. Step number 4, get agreement. This matters a lot. I do not just say it, I confirm it. I'll ask, is that fair? If the market gives us this kind of feedback, are you comfortable revisiting the price on what the data tells us? Now, they're verbally participating in this strategy. That matters. That is how you set up before the home hits the market. All right, part number 3. What counts as a qualified showing? Now let's get tactical about something here. Not every showing counts. A qualified showing is not just someone wandering through an open house. A qualified showing, to me, and likely you, is a buyer who checks most of these boxes. They're active in the price range. They are a realistic fit for the property and area, and they physically came through the home. They had a real purchase intent, and the showing happened under normal market conditions. The last part matters because if the property is difficult to show, or the seller is restricting access, or you had poor marketing, then your signal is not really clear data. But if the home is properly exposed, easy to show, well presented, and the right buyers are coming through, the feedback matters. That is the market speaking to us. And here's the tactical rule. If the right buyers are seeing the home and not writing offers, price is usually the issue. Not always, but almost 99% of the time. And that's where agents get weak. They start blaming the weather. They blame the headlines. They blame the rates. They blame the photos. They blame the staging. I can go on and on. And yes, those are things that can matter around the edges. But if the right people are seeing it and they're not moving, then the price is not matching buyer perception of value. This is the adult conversation. This is another place where agents get timid. They know a reduction is needed, and they make a reduction so small it changes nothing. That's not a strategy. That's avoidance. And if you're going to reduce, it has to matter, not emotionally, but strategically. And one of the easiest ways to explain this to sellers and to think about it yourself as an agent is in percentages, not in raw numbers, because sellers get emotionally attached to raw numbers. $20,000 sounds huge. $30,000 sounds painful. But in many cases, that kind of thinking is exactly what keeps a listing stuck. This is why I prefer and I recommend you talk in percentage adjustments. Because the question is not how many dollars we're cutting. The question is, are you making a meaningful move in the eyes of the market? And in most cases, if a reduction is needed, I'm not talking about a tiny half step. I'm talking about something in the range of like 3, 5, maybe even 10%. Why? Because that is often enough to actually reposition the property with respect to the market. Enough of a price adjustment to get into a better search bracket. Enough to improve the value perception versus the competition. Enough to get the buyers and agents to look at the property differently. Now, does every listing need exactly 3 to 5%? No. Some need 2, some need 15, because price point matters. Property type matters. Market segments matter. A 3 to 5% move on entry-level suburban home can behave differently than it does on a unique rural property or a luxury listing. So I'm not saying that's an automatic set it and forget it. If you haven't sold in 21 days or 12 qualified showings, drop by 3 to 5%. No, you got to lean into that. You might need a larger percentage adjustment than 5%. So you got to do your homework, but that sets you up with the framework of what you need to do. And do not use raw numbers. It's scary for people when they're thinking like 25, 30, 40,000. When you talk in percentages, it makes a lot more sense. And let's face it, if the reduction is too small, it's not going to turn the heads of buyers. Agents who are representing buyers, they're barely even going to notice. And a reduction should reposition the listing and create momentum, not just make the seller feel like, great, we did something. That's weak. And that is exactly how I'd frame it to the seller. If we're going to adjust, I don't want to make a cosmetic reduction. I want to make a meaningful one. In most cases, that means thinking in percentage range, not just a lower price. It's to change the market's response. That is a much stronger conversation than what if we just shave off a few $1,000s? No, that's not leadership. That's not being a professional realtor. That's hesitation. Part number 5, the exact price reduction conversation. Now, let me give you the actual structure. When it's time to ask for a reduction, I'm not winging it. I use a very simple 3-part conversation. Part number 1, remind them of the agreement. When we started, we agreed we would let the market speak to us. We agreed if we hit 21 days on the market or 12 qualified showings without a sale or a compelling argument that we were getting an offer, then we would have a conversation. That immediately brings the seller back to the original plan. Part number 2, show them the evidence. We've now had 13 qualified showings. Feedback has been consistent. Price is high. Buyers like the home, but they don't see the value at the price of where we're at. Or we're now at 22 days on the market. Most of the activity happened in the first 2 weeks, which is normal, but we did not convert that attention into a second showing or even an offer. That tells me, and likely you, that the market is speaking to us. Notice the tone? No drama, no apology, no nervous energy. Part number 3, you gotta make a recommendation. This is where agents get weak. Do not say, what do you think? Would you maybe consider? Do you want to talk about price? No, do not say any of that. I would say this, based upon my professional opinion, I would recommend we make an adjustment by 5%. That's leadership, not force, leadership. Big difference. Part number 6, how to handle seller pushback. Now let's get into the part agents actually struggle with, the seller pushbacks. Of course they do. That doesn't mean the conversation went badly. It means they're human. Here are 3 common objections and how I would recommend you handle them. Objection number 1, let's wait another 2 weeks. I would respond with, we can do that, but I want to be very clear about the risk. The strongest attention comes in the first 0 to 3 weeks on the market. We've already got that attention and it didn't convert. Waiting usually costs us momentum. It rarely improves our leverage. See, that's calm, not combative, but it's firm. Objection number 2, a seller may say, we're not giving it away. I would reply with, I'm not recommending we give it away. I'm recommending we position it where the market will actually respond. Those are 2 very different things. That's a strong line. Objection number 3, a seller may give you, maybe the right buyer just hasn't seen it yet. I'd reply with, that's possible, but if enough of the right buyers have already seen it and passed, we cannot build a strategy around hope. We need to build it around how buyers are actually responding. Again, that response is logical, not emotional. That's the theme of how you handle the objection process. Part number 7, let me give you a couple of real world examples. So example number 1, home gets 14 good showings in the first 11 days on the market. The feedback is consistent, nice home, but the buyers feel it trails the competition on value. See, that's not a marketing problem. It's not an access problem. This is a pricing problem. Example number 2, the home gets very little activity at all. Great photos, strong exposure, easy access, clean presentation, but still quiet. That usually tells us that we're way too high for the buyers to even consider our property. Again, price. Example number 3, the home gets traffic, but the feedback is all over the place because the layout is awkward or the location is challenging. See, a lot of buyer agents just don't actually think about the feedback they give you. They're like, oh, the layout wasn't great. Oh, we didn't like the paint. Oh, busy road. But ultimately, if the price was in parallel because of the busy road, it would sell. If the price was in parallel because of the awkward layout, it would sell. Everything sells. I've sold the most stigmatized property. I won't tell you what it is. It's bad. And I've sold that type of property. Everything sells based on price. That's why the 3 reason framework matters so much. Condition, location, and price. And again, the only one in your control is really price. That has saved me so much in price reduction conversations with sellers. Part number 8, what great listing agents understand. Here's the big lesson. Listings are leverage. Listings create momentum. Listing creates opportunity. They create sign calls, buyer leads, visibility, and future business. But stale listings do the complete opposite. They drain your time, your energy, they hurt your credibility, and they quietly damage your brand because the market starts to associate you with a home that sits. That's why getting price reductions is not about one seller. It's about protecting the quality of your inventory. Strong listing agents do not just take listings. They manage listings. That includes pricing. That includes communication. And yes, that includes getting reductions when the market says it's time. If this video showed you how to fix pricing problem, the next video will show you how to prevent one. Because the real win is not getting great at price reductions. The real win is pricing the home properly from the beginning. And in my next video, right here, I will walk you through exactly how I do my CMAs. Check it out right now.